All right, good afternoon. This is Mr. Barr again. I wanted to talk about another really important part of the 6 basic principles of government, which is federalism. And it's been around since the founding of this republic. In fact, Washington, Hamilton, Adams, James Madison to a certain extent, the guys that wrote the Constitution, the founding fathers, or the framers as we call them in government class, were federalists. They supported this philosophy. All right, and at its core, federalism just means a division of power between the national government and the state government. It means that the national government doesn't decide laws for the people in Iowa. The Iowa government decides the laws for the people of Iowa. The federal government deals with national issues. Okay, so if we were going to draw a visual representation of this, it would look like this. All right, we have the federal government and we have the state government. Federalism is that division of power between the two. Okay, we'll add federal and state to this for visual effect. Okay, federal and state. All right, federalism, the principle of federalism is the division of power between the two. So what do we do when we divide? We draw a line. Okay, that's the dividing line. We have the federal government and the state government. Each one of them has their own jurisdiction and their own ideas. And the state handles state issues, the federal government handles national issues. The thing you have to understand, so this is the principle of federalism. The thing that I want you to take away from this is that sometimes the federal government's going to have more power and sometimes the state government's going to have more power. Let's look at an issue like, our first issue is going to be education. Okay? Does the national government have a role to play in education? Absolutely it does. It sets national standards. We have a Department of Education that just kind of helps out schools and states. But for the most part, education is handled at the state level. So we're going to put an S up here for state. Okay? Education is handled at the state level. So if we redrew this line, with education being the issue, the states are going to have more power. So the line might look like this. So the line might look like this. Okay, the states have more power. The state government has more power here. All right, the gap or the area between the state and the national government is big. All right, that means the state government has more power on that particular issue. All right, if we looked at an issue like, let's take a different issue. Doesn't matter. National security or terrorism. We'll say fighting terrorism. That's an important issue today with ISIS and everybody else out there. Is that going to be a state or a national government issue? If you're sitting there going, Mr. Barr, that's got to be a national issue, you are correct. That is the federal government's job to handle that. All right, so if we did that, the line would look like this. Okay, because the federal government has more power here. So the difference or the gap between the national government and the state government is bigger. Okay, the division is wider because the federal government has to have more power. All right? That means that federalism, the division of power is dynamic. Okay, it means it's always moving. Sometimes the federal government's going to have power. Sometimes the state government's going to have power. It depends on the issue. It depends on what's happening. It depends on a whole host of things. Answer the questions at the end of this video. Thank you for listening.